In the early 1900s, Austrian psychologist Alfred Adler developed birth order theory, proposing that your position in the family creates a distinct psychological experience, not because of genetics, but because of the family system you're born into. The firstborn arrives to parents who are, often, anxious, perfectionist, intensely focused. That child gets undivided attention, high expectations, the full force of parental investment. The youngest arrives when parents are more relaxed, more experienced, sometimes exhausted. That child often becomes the baby, protected, indulged, allowed to remain young longer. But the middle child, you arrive to parents who are already stretched, already dividing their attention, already establishing patterns around your older sibling. And then another child came, and suddenly you weren't the youngest anymore either. You became the one who had to figure things out alone. Here's what the research shows. Studies on birth order consistently find that middle children report feeling less close to their parents, less likely to confide in family members, and more likely to seek support outside the home. But here's what's often misunderstood. This isn't about being loved less. It's about attention scarcity. Parents have finite resources, time, energy, emotional bandwidth. The oldest demands attention by being first, by setting precedents, by requiring guidance through uncharted territory. The youngest demands attention by being vulnerable, by needing more help, by being the last baby. But you are capable enough to not need constant help, old enough to not be the baby, not established enough to claim special status as the first. So you learnt to not ask, to handle things yourself, to become low maintenance. And that pattern doesn't just disappear when you turn 18. Here's where it gets complex. As a middle child, you developed what psychologists call compensation strategies. You couldn't compete for attention in the traditional ways, so you found alternative paths. Maybe you became the peacemaker, the mediator between older and younger siblings, the one who smoothed over conflicts, who kept the family system running. Maybe you became the rebel, the one who broke the mold, who refused to compete in arenas your siblings already dominated. Maybe you became the independent one, self-reliant to a fault, the one who never asks for help, because you learned early that help wasn't readily available. These weren't conscious choices. They were survival adaptations. And in adulthood, they look like personality traits. You're diplomatic, independent, low maintenance, comfortable in the background. But underneath, there's often something else. A quiet wondering if anyone would notice if you disappeared. Let's talk about how this shows up in your adult life. Psychologist Catherine Salmon, who studied middle child syndrome extensively, found that middle children often struggle with two competing impulses. One, the desire to be seen and recognized. Two, the deep discomfort when they actually are. You might achieve something significant, but downplay it. You might want recognition, but feel guilty for wanting it. In relationships, you're often the one who adjusts, who compromises, who makes sure everyone else is comfortable. At work, you might be incredibly competent, but struggle to advocate for yourself. You do exceptional work, but wait for others to notice, rather than claiming credit. And in your family of origin, you might still feel like a supporting character in someone else's story. But here's what's often overlooked. Middle children develop extraordinary relational skills. Because you couldn't rely on family position for significance, You learn to build deep connections outside the family. Research shows that middle children often have larger, more diverse friend groups. You're skilled at reading social dynamics, at finding your place in new groups, at making people feel seen, because you know what it feels like to be invisible. You're often the friend people call in crisis, not because you're dramatic, but because you're steady, because you know how to hold space without making it about you. This is a skill forged from necessity, but valuable nonetheless. Here's another hidden strength. Growing up between siblings, you became fluent in perspective taking. You had to understand the older sibling's position, the younger sibling's needs, your parents' expectations, and find your way through the middle. This makes middle children exceptional negotiators, natural mediators, people who can see multiple sides of complex situations. Research by Frank Sulloway at UC Berkeley found that middle children are more likely to be open to new experiences, more flexible in their thinking, more willing to challenge the status quo. Why? Because you couldn't succeed by following the path your older sibling already walked. You had to innovate, find new territory, create your own definition of success. This isn't weakness, it's strategic creativity. But let's be honest about the cost. There's a specific kind of loneliness that comes with being the middle child. It's not the loneliness of having no one. It's the loneliness of being surrounded by family and still feeling unseen. Psychologist Joshua Coleman, who specializes in family dynamics, notes that middle children often struggle with what he calls ambiguous presence. You're there, but not quite central, included, but not quite focused on. This can lead to a deep uncertainty about your worth, a persistent feeling that your needs are inherently less important, a belief that asking for attention is, somehow, selfish. And in adulthood, this can manifest as people-pleasing, difficulty setting boundaries, chronic self-minimization. You might succeed, but feel like an imposter, be loved, but not quite believe it, because the first message you absorbed was, there isn't quite enough room for you. Here's another pattern that emerges. Middle children often live in a state of perpetual comparison. Your older sibling was the template, the first draft of what children in your family could become. Your younger sibling was the refinement, the one who learned from everyone's mistakes. And you existed in reference to both. Maybe you were compared to your older sibling's achievements, or praised for being easier than your younger sibling. Either way, your identity was often defined relationally, rather than individually. Psychologists call this social comparison orientation, and middle children tend to score higher on this measure. You're always measuring yourself against others, always wondering if you're enough, always adjusting to fit. But here's what that costs you: connection to your authentic self. So how do you heal this? First, recognize that your invisibility was systemic, not personal. Your parents likely didn't intend to overlook you. They were managing competing demands. But intention doesn't erase impact. Second, practice taking up space intentionally. Share your accomplishments without minimizing them. Express your needs without apologizing. Let yourself be seen, even when it feels uncomfortable. Third, notice when you're automatically adjusting to others. Ask yourself, what do I actually want here? Not what's easiest, not what keeps the peace. What do I want? And fourth, consider redefining success on your own terms. You don't have to outdo your older sibling. or prove you're more independent than your younger one. You get to build a life that makes sense for you. Here's something important to understand. Birth order isn't destiny, it's influence. Not every middle child experiences this the same way. Family dynamics are complex. Temperament matters. Life circumstances shift things. But if you recognize yourself in this, if you felt that specific kind of invisibility, know that it's not in your head. And know that the skills you developed, the adaptability, the empathy, the ability to navigate complex social terrain, these are real strengths. You just don't have to earn your place anymore. You get to claim it. So if you're a middle child who still feels forgotten sometimes, here's what I want you to know. Your presence matters, even when no one's actively acknowledging it. Your needs are valid, even when they weren't prioritized growing up. Your voice deserves to be heard, even if you learnt to keep it quiet. You spent your childhood adapting to the space left for you, but you're an adult now, and you get to decide how much space you take. You're not too much. You're not too little. You're not just the one in between. You're whole, complete, worthy of being seen. Not because you've earned it, not because you've proven yourself, but because you always were, even when no one was looking.